Warning: the following video contains explicit language, which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Like any mom, I'm going to do a pivot out of nowhere into a shockingly violent story about sex trafficking.
I spoke to a woman who shared her story with me. She had been sex trafficked by the cartels starting at the age of 12.
Nobody is questioning that the story happened, that she is actually who she is, says she is, and that this happened. The question is about the timing and the implication of you telling the story.
Rest assured, every detail about it is real, except the year, where it took place, and who was president when it happened.
Did you mean to give the impression that this horrible story happened on President Biden's watch?
No, Shannon, look, I very specifically said...
Now, Katie very specifically did not answer the question for the next 2 minutes, so I'm going to skip over that part and get to the part where Shannon repeats her question.
Well, I very clearly said I spoke to a woman who told me about when she was trafficked when she was 12.
So that's about as close to the admission from Katie that we're going to get. That, yeah, the crimes that she spoke of that were awful, awful crimes actually took place 20 years ago when George W. Bush was president. And on top of that, they weren't crimes committed in America. They were crimes committed in Mexico, in another country, 20 years ago.
Republicans care about kitchen table issues. We care about faith, family. We care about freedom.
And by the way, if these crimes were committed in America in the last 2 years, and heaven forbid the woman was impregnated by one of her rapists, Republicans took away the woman's freedom to choose whether or not she had an abortion or not.
Y'all, you can't make this stuff up.
Hey everybody, nice to see you all again. Now, you're never going to guess what happened to me today here. Because I'm a veteran, I get my health care through the VA system, right? Okay, so I'm taking medications for diabetes and other things, all right? Well, recently they had to change my medication around to something different because the other stuff just wasn't working anymore. So I had a lot of leftovers from the old medicine, and I told them that, and they said, "Well, we got some envelopes that you can take, put keep the medicine in the bottles, put the bottles in the envelope, and just give it to the post office. That way, you know, I mean, they won't charge you for it. They'll just take it, and it goes wherever the hell it goes to get disposed of, you know, properly." I said, "Okay, great." So they gave me about 8 envelopes, and I had about 5 pill bottles that I stuffed into 3 bags. And two of the bottles weren't even open yet, so I had quite a bit. And it's unfortunate that there's that kind of waste going on in the VA system, okay? Because, you know, people could use that medication, and it costs money to make it, and, you know, especially when you got unopened bottles. The stuff wasn't even outdated or nothing. It's like maybe a month old, if that. Okay, but anyway, you put the stuff in the envelope, and I went over to. I was on my way to downtown Bangor, and I stopped in at Miller's because they got a post office box there. You know, one of those blue boxes. And I went over there and I shoved the pills in the box. No sooner that I had put the last pill back in there, this guy comes out of the store and says, "Hey!" I said, "Yeah, what is it?" He says, "What are you putting in there?" I said, "Use bottles of pills. I mean, that's to go to be disposed." "You can't put that in there." I said, "Oh, really?" I said, "I was told that the post office takes that stuff." "No, you can't put that in there." I said, "Well, it's in there now. I can't get it out." And he goes, "Well, I've been working here for years, and you're not supposed to take pill bottles and put them in the mailbox." I said, "Well, I guess the postman will find that out when he opens up the box and takes the pills out of there, because it's all in an envelope and it's got an address on it. So obviously it's meant to be delivered somehow." He goes, "Well, you can't put that in there." He goes, "You shouldn't even have done that." And I said, "Well, it's going to get done now." And so he just kind of walked away. And I was thinking, you know, Who are you going to believe in that situation? You got your own doctor telling you where to put these bottles of extra pills, okay, and how to dispose of them, or somebody who's worked at Miller Drugstore for I don't know how long, saying you can't mail those off. I mean, who are you going to believe? I put those things in there. What did he expect me to do? Jump down in there and pick and dig them out? I mean, that door thing only opened like that wide. I couldn't even get my head in there. It's too late, and they're in there now, and they're in envelopes that have addresses on them, so they're meant to be mailed. Okay. So it doesn't matter if I take them and deliver them to the post office, okay, or put them in a big mailbox. It's still going to have to be taken by the post office to wherever that's got to go, right? So I just thought that was funny that I would get, this annoying, hey, from somebody. It's like, well, what was he doing? Watching me from inside the store? He got a camera aimed at the fucking mailbox? I mean, what do they think, the Unabomber's still around or something? They saw me shoving 3 big envelopes into that box. He must have thought, well, he's trying to get rid of something, Hey, what can I say? I'm doing what I was told. If you don't like what I was told, go tell the people that told me what to do what I was told. I mean, don't take it out on me. Oh, okay. So you saw the video at the beginning. Well, there's a reason I took that excerpt out from the Saturday Night Live skit, because that was a part that I wanted to react on. And it's something that isn't the first time Republicans have done, to misrepresent, a fact that happened and use it in a way as a weapon to weaponize it, basically, against their opponents. And right now, the opponent is Joe Biden. So they're trying to stain Joe Biden's presidency in any way they can, okay? Now, if you listen to how she told that story, she left out a lot of specifics, like the name, the place, you know what I'm saying? So nobody can actually verify this story, okay? So we're actually taking it on her word that she did talk to somebody who said that story, other than just having her make that up, okay? So it could go either way. I mean, Fox News is willing to say that they're going to believe her, but that's Fox News. They believe anything, okay? So whether or not she actually met somebody, some 12-year-old, whatever, and had that story told her, that's for other people to decide. I can't personally, because she's Republican and because she acted so weird in that rebuttal, I can't say that I really would put faith in the fact that she was telling us the truth in that. But the idea that she would say that at that time and the rebuttal right after, I mean, why would she say that after a State of the Union speech? And as a rebuttal. I mean, the point of a rebuttal is to disagree with what was said, right? And so instead of just saying she disagreed with him, no, she wants to allude or try to make the illusion that this bad thing happened under Joe Biden's watch, okay? And if it was a Republican, it never would have happened. Well, let me tell you something. We already know Republicans don't like migrants, okay? We already know that. So why would they even give a shit about her story that she told anyway? If somebody was some woman had been assaulted or whatever like that on the border, I mean, Republicans at home, they're sitting there eating potato chips and pizza and and all that stuff. They're not gonna care. It's like, well, they don't care. Christ, they don't even care about women. Why the hell would they care about any woman that's been sex trafficked? Okay, what the hell would they care? You got to understand who she's talking to. In fact, that she was talking to these men is another sign that, they probably weren't even listening to her. They probably didn't even know the rebuttal even happened because it was a woman that gave it. So as soon as they saw her face, they probably just turned the channel to something else. Okay, and the idea that Saturday Night Live did a skit on it was the only way they knew something bad had happened in the rebuttal, and that's when they went back and watched the actual rebuttal speech, okay? But the thing is that she's sitting here trying to evoke something, an emotion out of her followers that just isn't there, because they already made it plain and clear to all of America that they don't care about people from from Mexico coming into this country illegal. They don't care why they come here. They don't care that some of these people were abused or are fleeing from bad situations. They don't care. So that was the wrong thing for her to do, to try to evoke something to attack Biden on, because, you know, the people, the Biden administration would care about a story like that, but you're not going to get that from a Trump administration. Okay, that's pretty obvious. And why I say it's obvious is all you got to do is look back on the years that Trump was president for those 4 years, and you're going to see the nightmare he created that almost got this country kicked out of NATO, for Christ's sake. I mean, because he was trying to redefine what America is. He couldn't get along with the fucking leaders of the world, but he certainly was chummy with Putin there and with China. You know, I'm just saying, you know, he was giving us the world, rather, the whole mixed bag of emotions here, saying, you know, what is America becoming here? You know, should we be concerned? The answer was yes, obviously, because the guy was dealing under the deck here to get things done, and certainly dealt under the deck to try to win an election. Okay, even though it fell apart in his face, his mistake was that he tried to do it openly in the face of TV and everybody else. You know, you don't cheat in an election after the fact. You know, you always got to do that before the fact, like redistricting and stuff like that. That's how you cheat in elections. You always get caught if you try to do it after the fact. All right, but for Britt, for her to say that story like that, I think, you know, most people caught on to that was a bullshit story. I mean, that's why Scarlett Johansson made fun of it. I mean, I think she felt secure in the fact that she was pulling that out of her ass. She knew nobody that had that incident happen to her. She was just trying to, I mean, it's just like everything else about what she said was phony. It felt phony. She acted phony. Okay, so she was the perfect delivery system for a rebuttal of lies. Okay, and nothing she said was truthful, and in her way, she actually hurt herself in that rebuttal more than anybody else, because the whole damn party was like, you know, they didn't even like it. First, they didn't like it because it was her that gave the rebuttal. They didn't like it because of the way she delivered it. They didn't like it because, you know, she tried to do an obvious lie that could not be proven, okay, beyond what, you know, hearsay. You know, she said it happened. Okay, that's in court, that wouldn't even stand up. Okay, unless you got somebody that can back it up. There is no this woman this or that. Okay, that never happened. Jesus. Now on the news here today from Salon magazine, an article written by Igor Dersh. It's entitled, "He Said Hitler Did Some Good Things." Unquote, ex-chief of staff says Trump praised Hitler in the White House. Former President Donald Trump praised German dictator Hitler while he was in the White House. Former chief of staff John Kelly told CNN. Trump repeatedly praised authoritarian leaders while serving as president. Kelly and other former senior advisors told CNN's Jim Sciutto. Trump praised Chinese leader Xi Jinping, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, and Russian President Vladimir Putin, the former aide said. But his most unnerving praise was for Hitler. Quote, he said, "Well, but Hitler did some good things." I said, well, what? And he said, well, he rebuilt the economy, but what did he do with that rebuilt economy? He turned it in against his own people and against the world. And I said, sir, you can never say anything good about the guy. Nothing, unquote. Kelly recalled, according to Sciutto, quote, I mean, Mussolini was a great guy in comparison, unquote. Quote, it's pretty hard to believe he missed the Holocaust, though, and pretty hard to understand how he missed the 400,000 American GIs that were killed in the European theater, unquote, Kelly added. Quote, but I think it's more again the tough guy thing, unquote. It wasn't just Hitler's economic policies, Kelly said. Trump also expressed admiration for Hitler's hold on senior Nazi officers as he lamented his own lack of staff loyalty. Quote, he would ask about the loyalty issues and about how, when I pointed out to him the German generals as a group were not loyal to him and in fact tried to assassinate him a few times, and he didn't know and he didn't know that, unquote, Kelly recounted. Quote, he truly believed when he brought us generals in that we would be loyal, that we would do anything he wanted us to do, unquote, Kelly added. Former Trump National Security Advisor John Bolton added that Trump, quote, views himself as a big guy, unquote. Quote, he likes dealing with other big guys, and big guys like Erdogan in Turkey get to put people in jail, and you don't have to ask anybody's permission. He kind of likes that, unquote, Bolton told Scioto. A Trump spokeswoman in 2021 denied that he had praised Hitler. Trump campaign spokesman Steve Chung told the outlet, quote, John Kelly and John Bolton have completely beclowned themselves and are suffering from a severe case of Trump derangement syndrome. They need to seek professional help because their hatred is consuming their empty lives, unquote. Okay, so what to believe? I can believe that he said that. I can believe he said that because when you put into comparison to all the other nasty shit this man has said about various people in singular or people plural, he's the kind of guy that would utter some kind of nonsense like that without even giving a crap that somebody might be recording it or even remember it and go squeal on him about it. I mean, he's got a very loose mouth, you know. He's the kind of guy that would actually say something. The first thing that comes into his mind would be the first thing out of his mouth without a filter. Like I said, I know this kind of behavior because, you know, I grew up with a man who did much the same thing, okay? He would say some of the most ridiculous things to friends that he had around, and, you know, I would feel embarrassed. But yet, you know, at the same time, the friends would keep coming back around, and, you know, it's just so, you know, you wonder, you know, what the hell? But back to Trump, this is a guy that basically, you know, has a really bad ego problem, okay? If he feels like he's got to say these things to feel big, to feel macho and all that, he's gone too far, okay? There's being big, there's being macho, and then there's just being cruel, inhuman, you know, and bigoted. And that's not a sign of being macho. That's really a sign of fear, a fear of things that he doesn't like, a fear that, you know, somehow his little pitiful life is somehow on the chopping block because of these folks, when he can't even really tell you how that's even possible, okay? He personally is not responsible for anything that happens to migrants that come into this country, but yet he takes it on himself that every time somebody crosses the border illegally, this is an attack on him personally. He makes it about himself, you see. And that's been his tactic the whole time we've known him in politics, is to turn everything around to make it about himself. I'm the victim. I'm the one being attacked. Everybody hates me. The hatred against me is bigger than anything that's ever happened to any leader in the whole entirety of the human race. I mean, everything about what he says and does is always a big explosion of epic proportions. Like his whole life is got to be in the history books. He wants his name in the history books because all the worst things ever that could happen to a man in his life happened to him. Okay, he's like that. He's an attention getter, and maybe because he never got enough of it. I don't know. Or maybe he's just addicted to it because he got so much of it that he's addicted to it. And when people start to hate him, you know, he still looks at that as a positive because at least people are still talking about him, right? So he knows people don't like him. So instead of trying to say things to make people like him, he's doubling down on saying the things that make people hate him. So, hey, even the press falls for that because they report everything he says, but at the same time, they know they're going to make money off of everything that he says, okay, all the attention he gets, because, hey, there's other people that like to hear him talk bad about others. You know, his own supporters are that way. So he comes out and he says these hateful things, okay, and the other people that have a little more sanity are trying to run cover for him because they don't think, you know, Trump's not going to protect himself from what he said, so we're going to have to come out and do it because he never admits he's wrong about a damn thing. But they're so worried about losing the election that, you know, they're out there basically they can't go to Trump and tell him, will you shut your big fucking mouth and stop and put a filter on it? They can't tell him that, because then Trump is going to retaliate. All right. So they just gotta let him do what he does. But at the same time, they're like the people in the parade that always goes by. They're the last people that are ones sweeping up the mess, the dung and all the shit that, you know, that's who Trump's loyalists are right now. Is they're the people with all the brooms trying to sweep up the mess behind him wherever he goes, because he leaves a trail of shit. And the press picks up on it, and everybody hears about it. And it's negative. It's going to come around and bite him in the ass. He knows. Well, maybe he doesn't care if he knows this, but his campaigners know this. The people working for him to get him his next term in office know this, but they can't shut him up because he won't control his mouth. That's his problem. That's his worst enemy, is his mouth. He can't stop it. He can't stop it. You know. And it's just like that Britt, you know, she was so pissed off that Saturday Night Live did that skit about her that she, the very fucking next day, Sunday, yesterday, she comes out and gets an interview on Fox to try to smooth over what she done, because she knew that even people in the Republican Party didn't like how she delivered that rebuttal, okay? She was pissed, okay? She might have tried to put on a smiley face and all that, covering up her real emotions, but very seldom does a politician ever come back, you know, biting after they've been smeared on Saturday Night Live. The only other person I know that did that was Donald Trump. And not because of Saturday Night Live, but because President Obama had insulted him at some goddamn dinner or whatever the hell it was in front of a lot of people. And that really pissed him off and embarrassed the hell out of him. And what did he do? He says, I'm coming out running for president, meaning to say, I'm going to get the last word, asshole. You know, that's what I'm talking about. She was the same way. I got to get the last word, assholes, okay? You know, what Scarlett Johansson did, that pissed me off. It infuriated me. They're making fun of me. I'm going to come on Fox, and I'm going to stop this. I mean, she had to get that interview the very next day, okay, which meant she called that very night, Saturday fucking night when that was on. She called and asked for an interview that morning on Fox. Okay. So she's like Trump that way. So that's why I know when she was talking about that story about the female that got trafficked or whatever, that was total bullshit. Okay, she pulled that out of her ass in that thing, because that's something Trump would say. How many times has Trump lied to us at a fucking rally or something, saying things that didn't happen? I mean, people fact-checked him all the time. I mean, go on the internet. It's just the internet is exploding with friggin' things that Trump said that never happened or didn't, or is completely wrong, okay? So she's following suit. She's the kind of person that the maggots would want. They just didn't like the fact that she did it the way she did, and that she's a woman, okay? They don't like women. They don't. None of them do. Even the female maggots don't like women, if you can understand that, okay? But it's bizarre. It's really bizarre on the right wing. To be a right winger these days, it means you got to essentially unlearn everything you learned growing up and believe a whole new reality that doesn't exist, but can exist in your mind. You know, it's like the Twilight Zone. Okay. Imagine this is, okay, you know what I'm saying? It's believe what they tell you. They tell these people, they set the scenario up that they have to live in, all right? And God forbid if they hear anything outside of that bubble that tells them different, okay? Because they're really going to get mad then. And I think, like I said, the proof of that is in their personality. The kind of people that flock to Donald Trump and to people like Senator Britt, whatever her name is there, people like that, okay? Certain people follow personality traits out there, and obviously, if somebody likes Trump, then you got to wonder what they're like, you know? What kind of people would like Trump? Because a lot of them don't, you know? So anyway, that's all I wanted to talk about for now. So you guys take care out there and treat each other nice. Talk to you later. Bye.
Thank you. And then, because brilliant. The fake news, which and it's so sad. But regardless, it's so sad. And likewise, and that's the way it is. So I want to just finish by saying that Iowa, we love you. You are going to, Thank you very much, everybody. Great honor. Thank you very much.